Today on Talking with TC, our guest is one of the all-time favorites of Met fans. He was a part of the 2015 National League Championship team, where along with Daniel Murphy, was one of the most productive hitters in the lineup in the postseason that year. He played for the Mets from 2014 to 2017. Other stops in his illustrious career were stints with the Detroit Tigers, New York Yankees, Los Angeles Dodgers, Toronto Blue Jays, Milwaukee Brewers, and Miami Marlins. He's a three-time All-Star, a Silver Slugger Award winner, a recipient of the Roberto Clemente Award in 2016, and has been named the Marvin Miller Man of the Year 4 times. He's also worked as a baseball analyst for TBS. His ongoing mission with the Curtis Granderson Foundation has benefited inner-city children in Chicago and other cities as well. And he's a board chair for the Baseball Players Alliance. What a resume. It is our pleasure to welcome Curtis Granderson to the Terry Collins Show. Curtis, welcome to Talking with TC.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And thanks for that introduction.
Well, you deserved it, Curtis. Thanks for coming on today. And, we're just going to have some fun talking about some times. Of course, every time I do these shows, Curtis, or I go out, everybody, they always ask me about, what it was like in 2015. That was all these Mets fans, that's all they can remember pretty much of all the whole time I was with New York. So, I always ask anybody who was on those teams. It can't. Matter of fact, we had Sandy Alderson on the show one time where I asked him. So, during 2015, all of a sudden we started making deals. What was, as a player on the team, tell us what was your thought process as we brought in all of a sudden Kelly Johnson and Uribe and the pitching, and then finally Cespedes. I mean, what were you guys thinking in that clubhouse at that time?
I think there's two things to it, because when you hear the trade deadline, everyone's expecting, all right, this big name is going to come, but you also don't want to lose pieces because we have been clicking. We have been playing well. So you get double nickels over there with Kelly Johnson wearing 55 and Juan Uribe and that just rock hard belly of his that can just hit you out but play anywhere. So those two pieces were amazing. And TC, I don't know if you remember this because you might have still been inside, but the trade deadline ended at 4 o'clock and we're outside for stretch at, say, 4:05. Nothing happened. So we're like, all right, let's just walk on the field and get ready to get our stretch done. This is the team we have. This is the team we're going to finish 2015 with. It's solid. Let's go. And as soon as we got on the field for stretch, that's when the rumor started to break about the Cespedes trade. And we're like, is it true? Is it not? Because the deadline has passed. But you know how this works in the game. Stuff is still rolling in. It's still being confirmed and still being announced. But we as the players, we didn't know. We got a game to play that night. And then boom, Cespedes gets announced. And we're like, oh, man. And then now you add in with everything else we have going on. And plus, the big thing is he came in and clicked. Sometimes you get a name that comes in and it just doesn't, it's not the right piece. And he was the perfect piece to that puzzle that we definitely needed. So it was amazing how it all went down. Talk about suspense, talk about excitement, and then boom, the roller coaster just kept going.
Curtis, in all your career, I mean, you were in a lot of, especially late in the season at those trading deadlines, you were in a lot of clubs that, were headed for the playoffs. I mean, you good teams. And so was this a different situation? I mean, when I talked to Sandy about it, I said, I asked him, at what time during the first part of that season did you guys say, hey, look, if we had a couple pieces, we got a chance here? Did you guys always think that was the same in that clubhouse? Were you guys saying, if we get a couple pieces here, we got a chance to win this thing?
It's funny because we started out so well. We were hot. We were rocking. The crowd was amazing. And then we were traveling well on the road. And you started seeing the 7 line and the blue and the orange just coming not only in the hotels, but in the stadiums around the towns. So you were sensing and feeling it. But we felt like what we had was solid. Not saying that we were set. We would have loved to have pieces, but we didn't think of any of the pieces that Sandy brought in as, okay, yeah, we're missing a Clipper, we're missing a Reed, we're missing a Uribe, we're missing a Kelly Johnson, and of course a Cespedes. I think you're just so into the moment of the season and just continuing to go that every day until they tell you something, that's when you start to think about it. So it never crossed my mind, and your door was always open. We never came to talk to you and said, hey, TC, we're missing something. We got to get this piece or this piece. And same thing with Sandy. You know, it was never a topic of conversation. We were just out there one day at a time, one series at a time, having a ton of fun. And for everyone that watched, I mean, we were always having a good time. But you can have a good time when you're prepared and you're also going out there and doing what you're supposed to do. That's what we did. We focused on what we needed to focus on and didn't necessarily think about those pieces until the deadline day, because we knew we were in it and we knew something was going to happen. So we just wanted to know what it was going to be. We just had no idea. Did we need a position player? Did we need a pitcher? Did we need a reliever? We were just like, all right, something's going to happen. Just what is it going to be?
Yeah, you know, I tell everybody, yeah, especially people who, you know, they think players don't pay attention. You know, I said, look, don't ever think players are naive. They know exactly what's going on. They listen. I said, matter of fact, half the rumors get started by players talking, because, you know, they have this time on their hands before a game where, hey, there's conversations about the game itself going on, or maybe a trade someone else made. You know, so I said, you know, I think you guys get a bad rap sometimes by, oh, they don't care about anything else except their own selves. And that's not true. That is, I mean, all good teams I've ever been on, I'm telling you, there's conversation, baseball conversation going on daily.
Yeah, we're definitely not in the point where it's not, we don't care. It's just that, you know, our focus is on try to control as much as you can. Because I remember being rumored in a trade early in my career, and it kind of got to me a little bit like, oh, am I going to go? Am I not? And then nothing happened. So I stepped back and said, all right, unless something happens, I'm not going to focus on it too much. I know that those things end up going on throughout the course of the game, and we're seeing and we're watching, especially with players that are represented by agencies that have other players on other teams. So there's conversations that are happening. And now, which is, you know, almost 10 years removed from 2015, with social media, with friends and family all on it, anything that pops and your name is associated to it, even if you're not trying to look at it, someone's calling you up. Hey, did you hear this? Is it true? Someone's sending you a text. Someone's sending you a tweet. Someone's sending you a DM. So you try to avoid it, but it's all around you. At least back then, you could kind of like not look at the paper. You could turn the TV off and you might be a little bit shielded from it, but it's tough right now. So even if you want to stay away from it, you can't.
Yeah, that's very true. You know, Curtis, as I look back and some of the things you did, one of the things that you did that I'm telling you that and again, I look at the special teams today and it happens, you played every day. I mean, I look, how many, there was like, maybe 8 years, you played 160 games in a year. Did you, I mean, I remember at times I remember going up to you and saying, hey, do you need a day this week? Hey, I'll get you a day this week. And you being yourself just said, well, you know, I'll be fine. If you want to give me a day, give me a day. You're the manager. But I mean, you went out there, man, 160, that's a lot of games.
Hey, that's the way I looked at it. You're the one in charge. You were the manager and a great manager. So you tell us, unless there's something like I'm ailing really bad, then I'll say something. But again, that's very rare. And I found later in my career how to go at 100%, how to pull back just enough not to damage anything, but to still give you everything that you need and what the fans expect. But you did something that I still remember to this day, and I tell so many young players about it. I had like a little calf or something going on, and you and I were trying to figure out the plan. Hey, do we take a day? Do we take 2 days or 3, whatever the case is going to be? So we missed the first day. And then the second day I said, I think I'm good to go. And you said, no, I'm going to give you one more day. I'd rather you miss one day than me put you out there, you blow out, and now I'm missing you for 2 or 3 weeks. So even those little things, although I played all the time, I knew, okay, I just need to pull back today. And then I can give you another 20 days in a row. But if I keep pushing, I'm not going to make it to the 20. And that was all part of you. So I'm not sure if I ever got a chance to credit you and thank you for that. But I remember us having that conversation. And I tell so many young players about it. Even when you feel great, you might just need one more day. And that one more day can get you through everything. Don't push through it. And then all of a sudden we're missing you for a period of time. And that was the part, and I think the keys that allowed me the opportunity to get to the 160s. I may need a day. I may need just a couple innings. Whatever the case it is, just give me just that, and then I can give you everything else.
Curtis, you know, you played all 3 outfield positions. Was there one that you said, boy, this is where I like to play? Or did you just say, hey, I moved you to right field, and you said, I'm going to go play right field? Was it no big deal, or did you say, man, I wish I could back in center field? I mean, I know we got you played you in center.
Right. It was weird.
One spot you really liked more than the others?
I started my career when I got drafted in left, and then really learned that and really enjoyed it. Then ended up in center, made it to the big leagues in center. And then I think the first time I was officially in right was with the Mets. But I had played right in college, and I think right field is the easiest one to play. So when you put me out there, I was like, yeah, I hadn't been there in a while, but this kind of felt like second nature. So I was good out there. Plus, our dugout was on first base, so it was a little short jog out there. So I like that side of it. But there were times,
Curtis, I'm telling you, I've told a lot of people playing right field and City Field, that place is tough in right field.
Yeah.
They got that overhang,
bump outs, and the moving and everything. But the one thing I felt like, especially with Tom Goodwin, he was so good. We got our work in out there. I just knew exactly where I needed to be to help make that as easy as it could be. Of course, still challenging, but we always worked. If I was playing or not playing, I definitely went out there and got my fly balls and ground balls, and I wanted to see the work. And then, especially with the number of right-handed hitters in batting practice, they would always work to right field. So I got a lot of balls out there just to see throughout the course of the game. So that made it comfortable out there. And then as we started to transition, say, hey, you're going back to center, there'd be times I'm like, I'm the oldest guy on this team. How come I'm playing center field? There's some fresh legs over here. But I loved it. It was great because I had everything in front of me. And the corner outfielders, no matter who it was, whether it was Cespedes or Conforto or DiBiase or whoever it happened to be, I just had to move them one way or the other. And they listened. So I was like, all right, you move this way, you move this way. Let's blanket this as best as we can, move in, move back. But I gave them respect. So if they saw something, move me. Hey, if I'm too shallow, if I'm too deep, let me know. And I was never going to say, stop talking, even although I'm the oldest one out here. I want to hear whatever information can make me better, and hopefully you respect whatever I'm going to give you to make you better. So I had fun out there. So whichever one you happen to put me into, it was always a good time. But then on the flip, as the career got later, when I went back to left, I felt lost a little bit. It's like, uh-oh.
No kidding.
I was out there. I was like, I hadn't been here in a little bit. Hit it to me during this time of the game when we're up a lot or down a lot. So hopefully I don't mess this thing up. So I never said that because obviously I couldn't let anybody know. But there were times out there I was like, just please don't hit it to me. Please.
I mean, when you went to Miami, were you in left field at that time? Because that's a tough left field.
Yeah. So I had to get back out there. And going prior to that, when I was in Toronto, Devon White was key. So I said, hey, I haven't been out and left in a while. He's all right, let's get out there. Let's go out there and let's make this, less of a liability and more of a strength. So that helped me to make it more comfortable because he was great at pushing me out there. Tom Goodwin was great at pushing me out there. And the reason I played center at the level I did was Andy Van Slyke with Detroit. They all just kept pushing in that spot. And I said, let's go. We got to get as good as we can out there. And those three were very key in my career throughout being the outfielder that I was.
Wow, I didn't know you had Andy in Detroit.
Mm-hmm. He was out there running us crazy out there. He would do drills. They'd have to pull him back and say, hey, we're going to blow out these guys. I mean, he had us running and running and running, but that's how he learned. That's why he was so good. So we did as much of it as we could until the trainer stopped it. But that's why I was able to play center field in Detroit, because my scouting report, if anyone finds it, says that I was not fast enough to play center field, especially in Detroit. And that's where I played a majority of my center field. But that was because of Andy Van Slyke.
Wow, that's cool. I was in Pittsburgh when Andy that just got to the Pirates, and I saw Bill Verdon do that stuff with those guys. I mean, at the end of the day, he ran those guys in the ground going after balls. But again, I forgot about Andy being out there because they all got better. Even Barry got better. Bobby Bonilla got better, all because of those drills they did before. So,
and if you remember, like if you had a spring training game and you weren't playing, that was a great day. You just took batting practice, took a couple of fly balls, then you were done. Andy said you wanted to play. You did not want to stay back, because if you stayed back, that's when you got crushed. And sure enough, Andy had the same mentality. So I was hoping I was playing. 3-hour bus ride, I didn't care. Let me go on the road. But those days I stayed back, that's what got me better.
Wow. So today, Randy, you watch guys today, I mean, they're very few guys. I mean, I talked last year the Braves had like 4 guys that played 160 games. The Mets, with Lindor and Pete, they play a lot of games. I mean, I'm shocked today that, there's not more guys that play 155, 160 games. I think the training staff is so concerned about these guys due to being overworked that they think that's leading to injury. But you didn't have very many injuries.
No, outside of, I got hit by pitches, which is something out of my control. So that happened to me twice one year right before I came over to the Mets. But, the time we were there, like I said, I had a little calf thing here. I think I had maybe a little hammy thing, but I was like, all right, I understand what's going on. Let's talk. Let's get a plan. Let's not push through it. But listening to the body, understanding when I needed to hydrate, when I needed to pull back, when I could go full board in the weight room, when I had to pull back. So that's where I feel like just the transparency and the communication was such a key thing. And what we did a really good job with that Mets organization at that time is there was just a lot of talking. And I would come in, let them know how I felt. They would tell me what I'd feel. If I was supposed to do 5 sets of workout today, I said, hey, can we do 3? I still did the work. I didn't shy away from it. But hey, let's pull back. Or hey, I'm feeling really good. Let's go a little bit more. And it was those little things I think that just helped. But you can't just keep going like every day is the first day of spring training, especially when it's June and July and August and you've played 80, 90, 100 games. I can't lift like I was doing on day one. I have to modify it. So that means lower the weights, lower the reps, lower the number of swings, lower the number of ground balls. We get a good off day. We come back from the All-Star break. Now we can start to ramp up and add in. But if you just keep going and going and going, it's like the example they give with the car. I can keep flooring it, but eventually I'm going to run out of gas, plain and simple. And it's the same thing with the body. You just can't keep pushing it. So I think there's that balance of give and take on wonder how you can keep going and keep coasting, still stay ready. And I think that's one of the challenge. A lot of players don't think they're ready if they don't do everything every day. At this point in time, especially come like October, if I haven't figured it out by now, it's too late, So, I'm not going to get it done today. Yeah. I got to keep going and going all the previous stuff. And if you think about just adding the number of swings, TC, if we're in the cage, I take my rounds off the tee. I take my soft toss. I may hit off the machine. Then we come out for the field and we do our 5 to 6 rounds of batting practice. And I do that every day. By the time we get to June and July, I'm over thousands of swings. It's okay to miss 10. It's okay to miss 20 at this point in time, but I'm still going to get my work in. And you saw it towards the end. Sometimes I would just take BP in the cage. Right. I don't need to come on the field and hit at this point in time. Right. I'm going to take my fly balls and then I'm going to come off, rest up. And I think those things help me out a lot.
Yeah, I always thought, especially a veteran guy, he knows how to keep himself ready and what he needs to do. Especially at the end of summers, you have batting practice because some guys like to take batting practice. Like you didn't. There was a time, I think, I can't remember if it was 15 or 16. Seth for the last month, he just hit inside. He didn't hit on the field anymore.
Just hit inside.
I think you got to know know yourself a little bit and go from there. And that's why they have veteran leadership in the clubhouse. It helps some of these young guys because all they they want to work and work and work. So they're showing everybody, hey, look, I'm working hard so I can keep playing. When you're right, and once in a while you got to back off a little bit.
It's okay. Rest is part of the success, right? We strength, we eat, we train, we do all that stuff, but rest is also one of those big key components. So adding that side to it is okay. And Cespedes is one of the best. He worked all the time, but when it was time for him to rest, he rested with the best of them. Remember that game that we had where he did the pinch hit home run? I think he was on the massage table when you were asking him to come into the game. I tell that story all the time.
He didn't even have his uniform on anymore. he had his gym shorts. He had his gym shorts and I said, Pat Wrestler, and I said, get Seth ready. And he came back on. He goes, he's in his gym shorts and t-shirt. I said, and he walks up and hits a homer. That's just, that was him. They announced
his name. Remember, he's taping his wrist still. And it's like, what are we going to do here? He hasn't even swung the bat yet today. Then he comes up and boom, hits the home run. The crowd goes nuts. It's crazy. But he had been putting miles and miles prior to. So this isn't, hey, I haven't done this every day. I've been putting my work in. Today is one of those days where, hey, I'm not in the lineup. I'm going to take the game flowed and shifted where all of a sudden we needed him, but he's ready. The car has been running. The engine has been on. So that's why he was able to come in and do that stuff. And that's the part where people miss. Like, oh, he doesn't do work. he's doing the work. Just because you don't always see it all the time doesn't mean that he's not doing the work.
Right.
And he worked. I mean, he's probably the last true 5-tool player that I have seen in person. When he run, he was the fastest individual I saw. The best arm. His BP power was amazing. I mean, he was going third deck at Citi Field. Hit for average, and he has a gold glove. So he was able to put it all together, but that's because of the work. He was my throwing partner. That's why we were able to throw so well, because I was throwing with Cespedes. That's how my arm improved a little bit, because I hadn't had a solid throwing partner in a while. So to get Cespedes back there was great for me.
That's cool. So, John, I know you've got some Curtis Granderson questions you want to ask.
Yes, thanks, Terry. Appreciate it very much. Curtis, the Mets signed you to a 4-year free agent contract prior to the 2014 season, following your 4 years with the Yankees. What was it like for you to play for both New York teams? Compare the similarities and the differences between the Mets and the Yankee fans.
My one regret is I wish I would have bought something in New York. If I'd have known I'd have been there for 8 years, I would have had some real estate, but I didn't know I was going to be there that long. Even with the Yankees, I was there with 3 years left on my deal and a team option, which they then picked up. Then I become a free agent, and you just never know what free agency is going to unfold. Had no idea that the Mets would be in the mix until free agency happened. And then it was in the mix, and I met with Sandy, and everything started to move real quick, and boom, now I'm with the Mets. And ironically, as soon as I sign and I come do my physical at HSS, because I stayed near there, I stayed at 72nd in York, I left my physical, ran to my old apartment and asked if it was available for the next year, and started the process of signing my lease for the next year. And that's just how everything was so conveniently located. So from that side of it was so cool. From the Yankee fan base, I was there for the final four, or the big four wrapping up their careers with Jeter and Pettit and Posada and Rivera. So the treatment that we received just traveling nationwide was so cool, and going in Toronto, because people wanted to see them for their last games and for their last hurrahs. They had been there for all those championships. So that side of it was just so unique and so awesome to see. Now you fast forward and come over to the Mets. And again, kind of like what we just talked about, I didn't play in Shea Stadium. I never played there throughout the course of my career. And the only time I played the Mets was once in 2007. They came to the Tigers in interleague play, and then during the Subway Series with the Yankees. So we focused on that series, and then we were on to the AL East or the AL Central. So I didn't know much about the Mets prior to. So as we get in, and 14 was, an average season. I think we finished 500, got a slow start, finished hot at the end, but wasn't enough to do anything. Then 15 happens, and we start rolling, and then all of a sudden this energy came like something I had never seen. Like, it was just loud. It was intense. The fans were on the road. They were taking over the road cities. I mean, you'd see just blue and orange around the hotel, around the restaurants. I was like, this is intense. It's insane, but it's awesome at the same time. So from that side of it, it started to mirror what I had seen from the Yankees, just traveling fan bases that wanted to be there to support, that were loud and proud to let you know that they were a Yankee or a Mets fan. And we had success on both sides. So from that side of it was so cool. And the biggest thing that I tell everybody, if you want to hear the loudest boos ever, Citi Field. But if you also want to hear the loudest cheers, also Citi Field. And I've been booed at Citi Field. My 14 didn't start off great. They come at you, and probably one of the biggest boos that we ever heard was when they announced Chase Utley in the NLDS. Woo! That was intense. And if you remember, TC, they did the player introductions, and they showed, I think it was Kershaw, and then it was Jimmy Rollins, and then they put the camera on Chase Utley, and they kept it on him. And they didn't move. You got to move the camera. You got to get it off of them. And then we played into it. We had Ruben Tejada come out there with the cane and limp out there. All that stuff was just crazy to see firsthand. But on that side of it, they rocked when the place was great. But when they were ready to boo, they came down with the hammer on you over there with Citi Field. And I think that's what makes it so exciting on both places.
Yeah, I was at that playoff series in New York, and they left that graphic, they left that shot of Utley up a really, really long time,
Yes,
and he got an earful for sure. That was very, very exciting. But this question's for both of you. Curtis, when you came to the Mets, obviously Terry Collins was going to be your skipper. And Terry, you were getting a leader. You were getting an amazing player to be part of your team. Curtis, first to you, then to Terry. What did Terry Collins mean to you as skipper of the Mets? And give us your best Terry Collins story. And then, Terry, please respond with your memories of Curtis Granderson and what your reaction was when the Mets signed him. Curtis first.
So my first time meeting Terry was at the winter meetings. We were up in a suite in Orlando. So I come in there and there's a few other individuals, finally getting a chance to meet, excited. And then we go out there, do the press conference, and then we leave. So I don't see TC until spring training, just the way the flow of the offseason goes. So we get to spring training and he's coming up to you and talking to you and asking, okay, what do you want to do for spring training? What do you want for your bats? What do you want for your games? How many innings do you want? So on and so on. So we're just having those conversations, which I enjoy. I mean, I take it for granted, but a lot of times people just don't talk throughout the baseball world for whatever reason. But he was always talking. And even as games would unfold, I would start to move down in the locker or in the dugout and just be closer towards, all the coaching staff and kind of joke with them a little bit, talk with them, hear what they're talking about and seeing as the flow of the game's going on, and then come back. And then two funny stories with TC. The first one is when we get Tebow. So Tebow comes and joins us and TC comes to me and goes, look, if there is a ball between the two of you, do not run into him because you are not going to win. And Tebow was just shredded. I mean, he was just such a solid specimen. So I took that lesson for sure. I was not running into TC. No. And then the second thing you mentioned in the bio, the fact that we had a solid postseason. So there were all these rumors about TC throwing amazing batting practice to Barry Bonds, and he would get Barry going. So we win the NLCS and we have a gap before the World Series. And TC goes, I'm going to come out and throw BP. I've never seen TC throw. TC comes out and he's throwing 80 miles an hour. He is firing that thing in there. But it was as close to game-like scenario, and it locked me in. I was ready. That's why I had a good World Series for that. I mean, guys were stepping out of the cage like, nope, I'm not breaking my bats. I'm not doing that. TC was humping and throwing that thing up there. But it was great, and I see why Barry was able to do. I mean, it was strikes, it was velocity, it was intense, and I don't know how much BP Terry had been throwing all season long, but he was in shape in October and ready to go.
Well, I didn't throw as much as I wanted to throw. I can tell you that, because we had so many coaches, and in New York, you have so much other responsibilities. You have so much media you got to take 2 minutes for. But yeah, I'll tell you, Barry, I threw for about 4 years in a row. I threw all the batting practice Barry Bonds had. If he hit, I threw it. So we used to. Matter of fact, we had big bets and everything else. But yeah, I used to love to throw it. But I think about Curtis. When we got the trade, obviously I'm from Michigan, so I mean I'd heard all the Curtis Granderson stories from the guys with the Tigers because I was a Tiger fan, so I couldn't wait, and I knew what he brought to the team, and of course we weren't Yankee Stadium anymore. We didn't have that little short right field fence that they did in Yankee Stadium. But you know what? He never changed. He never got out of his game. He just kept doing what he did best, but his presence in the locker room. You don't hear a lot about the kind of leadership he is, but I'm going to tell you something. Without Curtis Granderson in 2015, Lucas Duda would not have been the player he was in 2015. You kept him. You got him, Curtis. You took him from this introverted guy to fun-loving guy with a big smile on his face every day. And I'm thinking, what? And then I started finding out you were taping him and you were following him around. What was that about, that whole thing? But I'm telling you, that's the kind of stuff, John, when, people think leaders, they give speeches and stuff. That's not always true. He just took this guy and made this guy just a better person to be around. It was a tremendous job with that. You got to tell me about that story.
I just wanted to have fun over there, but also know that we can work first and then, of course, still enjoy. It doesn't always have to be 100% serious. So I don't know if you all did it strategically or not, but my locker was next to Duda's. So once my locker was next to his, and I always tried to gravitate towards other left-handed bats. So I think Duda even asked me something about swinging left-handed, and that's how it started. So there was the spring training, we're talking, and then all of a sudden the season rolls, and Instagram had become this huge thing. And everyone's like, Duda, you got to get on social media. He's like, I don't want any part of it. Like, okay, we'll make a social media page for you, Duda. We follow Lucas Duda, and we're going to just hound him and get pictures and get videos and get all these crazy things about him. And he hated everything about it, but I think secretly he loved it because he knew he didn't have to do it, and he could just go out there and do it. So not only was I mean, we had the kitchen staff, we had the trainers, we had everybody in was just trying to snap that photo. It was like we were the paparazzi trying to get him, but he went off. And I would just constantly keep messing with him. So we're in Dodger Stadium during the NLCS, and he's taking batting practice, and he hits a ball that goes to the top of the bleachers, and it breaks one of the signs, one of their billboard signs. Mind you, this is the middle of a playoff game. TC, I don't even know if you knew this happened. I run inside. I go to the office and get some Dodger letterhead, and I write up on it, say, hey, this is Dodgers ownership. You know, that sign cost us $5,000. We're going to deduct it straight from Mets payroll. And I put it on his chair. Now, this is game 4. Or, no, this might have been game 5. We go to Dodger Stadium for game 5, right? That's how I wanted to keep it going. Like, the game is going to be pressure enough. How do we loosen it up? So I put that on his chair. He's reading. He's like, Grandy, is this true? I was like, I don't know. I mean, it says you have to pay it. So you might have to get that paid. And sure enough, you know, we finally joke, laugh. We go out, we win game 5, and then we get ready to go to play the Cubs. So that's why I always try to just keep it loose and relaxed. And even one time we're in Atlanta. I don't know why, but remember when I bought the dodgeballs?
Yes.
And we're playing team dodgeball in the visiting locker room before a game. I mean, you shouldn't have had DeGrom throwing a dodgeball or Wheeler throwing a dodgeball, but we were, and we're hitting guys. Guys are diving over couches and chairs, and then we go out and win. But I always wanted to keep the element of having the game fun, because it still is the same game that we started playing when we were little. There's just a lot more people watch us now, and the field's just a little bit bigger, but it still should be fun. And that was the way that I tried my best to lead. And I think a lot of guys were receptive to it.
I would say they were, yeah.
Absolutely. That's great stories there. Well, what a beloved team that is and always will be. And next year is going to be 10 years already, so time flies, I tell you. Curtis, you made it to the World Series with the Tigers and the Mets. What was it like to be a young player in 2006 in comparison to that veteran player who played for the Mets in the 2015 Fall Classic? And give us your favorite memory or moment of that 2015 season.
Well, you know, in 2006, I'm excited just to make the team. I have another young, just all-star who's amazing that he's still playing right now, Justin Verlander. He makes the team with me that year. So we're the young presence on that team, but we have just veteran stars, Kenny Rogers, Maglio Ordonez, Pudge Rodriguez, Dimitri Young, and just they take you underneath their wing and just show you how to go about doing it. But you also watch, okay, they're good for a reason. Let me see why they're so good. And you're getting a chance to watch. And they were receptive. Like, they didn't haze us. They didn't do anything crazy. I think that had just started to shift at that time, which was great. So we were able just to fit in, be ourselves, and enjoy. And we literally were a team with the 2006 Tigers, to the point where in 2007, the year after, we lose like the last week of the season, get eliminated from playoff competition in Chicago. So I was like, all right, we're done, but obviously we're still going to finish up the season strong. So let's enjoy ourselves this evening. Now, mind you, when you have a team like that, the young players kind of do their thing. The veteran players do their thing. We all went out together that evening, had dinner, had a good time. And I remember Kenny Rogers coming up to me afterwards, goes, I had no idea where the hotel was. I'm trying to make it back to the hotel. It's 4 a.m. I don't remember where the hotel is. So he made it back. He wasn't pitching. But I say that because you very rarely get teams that are like that. Fast forward to 2015, we had that again. We had that team that we ate together. We hung out together. We did all these amazing things, from the dodgeball to chasing after Duda in the clubhouse, on the field. And when it was time to go to this different city, we did stuff. So, for example, we're in Chicago. I host a camp here at UIC, University of Illinois Chicago, my alma mater. I invite the players to come out to the camp. I'm not expecting everybody to say yes. The players, the coaching staff, the trainers all came to support my camp. That's the type of team that we had in 2015 as well, which was very similar to the team and the chemistry we had in 2006, which was big keys to why I think we were so successful. That team literally became an entire team from top to bottom, whether you were a rookie like I was in 2006 or you were a veteran like I was in 2015. Everybody had an important role and everybody was respected.
Thank you. One more, and then I'll throw it back to Terry. You've been a leader on and off the field throughout your career. SNY's Andy Martino reported that prior to the 2022 season, Buck Showalter wanted you to be his bench coach, which you declined at the time. Can you see a time when you might want to put the uniform back on as a coach or a manager in the MLB?
The answer, clear, is right now, as I talk to you, is an absolute no. And I'm going to explain why. And it's actually because of Terry. This isn't a bad thing, but it happened with Terry and Dick Scott and Ricky Bonas. We're in Atlanta. I go get breakfast in the morning. We have a night game. I'm coming back to the hotel. It's probably 12:30. I'm getting in the hotel. TC and the rest of the staff are dressed just like you see now. They have their polos on. They're ready to go to the ballpark. So I see them. I ask, are you going to get something to eat? They go, no, we're going to the ballpark. I get nervous. I thought the game time got bumped up. I said, the game's at 7, right? They said, yeah, but we got to go. We got meetings. We got to lift. We got to do our reports. We got to do all this stuff. I said, right now? They go, yeah, this is what time we go. Then you fast forward, the game doesn't end until 11:30, and the last bus is an hour after that. So they're at the ballpark from 12:30 to 12:30 every day. And at that moment, I said, there's no way I can do that. That is way too long of a day. But I have such a great deal of respect for all the coaches and the managers I've ever had, because that's the type of stuff that they do. And they're just constantly there getting notes, getting prepared, getting the team situated, getting everybody just situated across the board, that it just takes time. And I'm like, I don't know if I can dedicate that much time. 162 games, plus the playoffs, plus spring training. I mean, you got to dedicate February 15th to October 15th every year. So TC, I don't know how you did it, but thank you, because it takes a certain person to do it. And in that moment, I was like, nope, I'm not going to do it.
Thank you. Back to you, TC.
Well, Curtis, you brought up, you talked about, dedication and things you do. I want to talk about your off the field things that you do, because it is off the charts. And I don't know how many people know about some of these things. I mean, I went to the camp that you had. But John, he didn't bring up the fact that he also, you still have the cupcake?
I still got the cake balls, yeah. So
yeah, oh my God, he'd bring cake. Oh wow, they good. We'd go to Chicago and he'd bring these cake balls in, and if you weren't one of the first 6-7 guys, you may not get one. They went so fast. But I want to know how the academy's going. Are you still running that in Chicago? I mean, can you tell the fans of what that consists of? Because it is an amazing feat that you do.
So at UIC, I helped build the stadium in 2014. And part of that, I wanted to be able to give the opportunity for the community of Chicagoland area, boys and girls, kids ages 8 to 18, an opportunity to practice, play, and train all year long. That includes outdoors and indoors. Because as you know, Chicago has very similar weather to New York. When you get to those winter months, you got to be inside. But the way the game has gone, training year round has become more of just a regular type of thing that you have to have if you can afford to have indoor space. So with Chicago Baseball and Educational Academy, also called CBEA, we are one of 3 indoor facilities in Chicago that offers up the space for everybody. We have Major League Infield on the inside, so it's where I practice and train in the off season. Players like Jason Kipnis, TJ McFarland, Luke Gregerson, just to name a few, would also train there in the off season. But it's the only one that offers us up for free to those kids in the community. So we have that going on. And plus, when the weather is great in the summertime, we get them outside. And I argue we have the best view in all of baseball because you have the Chicago skyline in our outfield right there. So we do those great things with CBEA. It's been going on now since 2016. So we're coming up on 10 years for that. And we're still moving and grooving. We actually have a Major League Wiffle Ball series going on July 27th. So proceeds from that are going to help benefit CBEA as well. So bring out the crazy moving, sliding, and grooving balls and all that good stuff, and have a little event tied to that as well.
So Curtis, do you still help the kids with school? There's educational stuff that when they come in?
Yeah, so the Curtis Granderson Foundation still gets involved with that. We've taken a couple shifts on a few of those things. So when we initially started it, I started the foundation in 2007 in Detroit, where the high school graduation rate was only at 50%. Both of my parents taught in the Chicago public school system. My sister currently and still teaches at the university level. And at the time, I was one of a handful of Major League Baseball players with a college degree. So we really focused a lot on education to get things going. We then added fighting childhood obesity with Michelle Obama's Let's Move campaign. So we got you active, we got you focused, but then we also realized those two are connected. But if you aren't properly nutritioned and have a meal and you're food insecure, meaning you don't know where your next meal is coming from, forget focusing in the classroom, forget moving around and staying active. So we've shifted a lot of it to fighting food insecurity, but all of it ties back into together, again, just trying to help you be the best you that you can be by making sure you're properly nutritioned, that you continue to stay active, and of course, education is an option for you.
So Curtis, tell me about the Baseball Alliance, their Major League Alliance. I know you were the president. Are you still the president of that? And
yes.
So how did that get started? Who started that?
So I serve as the board chair for the Players Alliance, which was started in 2020. 3 players, Dee Gordon, Cameron Maben, and Edwin Jackson were the 3 founding members of that. Edwin Jackson still serves as a founding board member, and then CeCe Sabathia serves as our vice chair. So we started that in 2020. All about trying to take things that we had heard from the previous generations that we've had conversations about how do we provide more opportunities for black ball players in this game. So players like Dave Winfield, Willie Horton, Mookie Wilson, just to name a few, we had these conversations. We just couldn't collectively come together consistently because life was happening. Baseball was going on. Families were happening. People were in the playoffs. People weren't in the playoffs. But in 2020, everybody was sitting home. Everybody figured out how to do video chats like we're doing right now. So we were able to get everybody collectively together and bridge that gap and say, all right, let's push forward and keep this thing going. With partnership with Major League Baseball Players Association and Major League Baseball, we now have some things in place where we're going out to different communities across the U.S. where we know Black participation is there, but also areas of poverty, because poverty doesn't see color. So there's white individuals, there's Asian, there's Latino, there's Black, there's brown, there's everybody that is hoping that they can have an opportunity to play, but financially they're struggling. They don't have uniforms, they don't have fields, they don't have enough for coaches, they don't have enough to go to showcases, and we can come in and try to provide ways to be able to help in a number of different ways there. So truly excited for that. And we also do, during MLB All-Star, we do our Game Changers event where we honor and give flowers to those that help pave the way for us in that major league city. So with the Texas Rangers, we honored Gary Matthews Jr., Fergie Jenkins, Prince Fielder from his time with the Rangers, Darren Oliver, Mark McLemore, Tony Beasley, and Marcus Semien, just to name a few. So it's just great that, we get a chance to show the players from before, the legends, the Hall of Famers, those veterans. I'm now in that recently retired area. The current players, the all-stars, the ones that your kids and your grandkids are looking up to, and that next generation of player coming up. And that's what we're really trying to focus on, is that pipeline of talent and accessibility, just to continue to keep you in the game for as long as you want to be in it.
Well, I will tell you, Curtis, that is an absolutely tremendous thing you're doing from your education camp to your grandkids to the Alliance. I mean, what you're giving back to people who are less fortunate than yourself is absolutely amazing, and that's what makes it such an honor to know you and to be around you, to see this. And John, that's one of the reasons why he can't get back into managing and coaching. He's being pulled in so many different directions right now. He doesn't know, it's probably hard for him every morning. He probably has to get up and look at that schedule of what I've got in today's, but he's the best, and I really appreciate it. And so, John, I know you've got some questions from some fans, so we'll go to those.
All right. Thank you, Terry. And Curtis, it's been a pleasure. We do have some questions from the fans. Some of them have been answered, like our question from Jack Forrest from Instagram. I'm so pumped for this episode. I love Curtis. Can you ask Curtis about the Instagram account he made for Lucas Duda? That was hilarious. So we kind of covered that one.
Yep.
But anything else you want to expound on lightening Lucas Duda up, and did he eventually get to enjoy that Instagram account?
I don't know if he ever enjoyed it. I think he was happy. Remember when we traded Duda to the Rays, we actually traded the account as well.
Did you really?
So we traded the account to Sergio Romo. And after that point, we kind of lost it a little bit. I still had access to it for a little bit, but I tried to log in and my logins don't work. So I got to see if I can get back to it somehow. And I ran into Duda actually in Florida, West Palm Beach, actually, about 2 years ago. But he's doing well. He's out in California. He's going back to school. So he's doing a lot of great things as well. But, it's just one of those friendships and bonds that was formed before the We Follow Lucas Duda page, and still after, because he could have hated me for that. And I know he didn't love it, but we're still cool to this point.
Very cool. We do have a final question here from the fans. It comes from our X account, Starshot9 asks, how big of a WWE fan are you, and did you ever attend WrestleMania?
So very big, not as big now because I don't get a chance to watch it all the time like I used to. But I was very big. My grandmother got me big into WWF at the time because when my grandmother would come to visit, my dad would record the pay-per-views and then my grandma would babysit me. So we'd pop in that VHS of SummerSlam or Royal Rumble or WrestleMania, and I would sit in front with my pillow and pretend to practice all the moves while she sat back and watched me. And that was her way of babysitting. And that's how it just became. So wrestlers like Junkyard Dog and Coco Beware and Rowdy Piper and Hogan and Macho Man and Andre the Giant, that was my introduction to it early on. Then I was a part of the Attitude Era. So, getting a chance to see the Monday Night Wars of Nitro versus Raw. So huge into college side. And then pro baseball, unfortunately, because of the scheduling, we're playing Monday night. We're playing Sundays on pay-per-views and so on. But I did get a chance to attend WrestleMania in Detroit. And I tell everybody that it was the best sporting event I've ever been to. And they go, really? What? How? Why? I said, you had 70,000 people there. So I haven't been to very many events that have that many people. That's one. Two, everybody is into it and intense. They know the entrance musics. They know the finishing moves. They're all excited for it. The pyrotechnics are insane, plus the music. So you add all that. The event itself was crazy. And I think that was the one where former President Donald Trump was at that WrestleMania in Detroit. So my parents still have one of the ringside chairs that you can get if you were sitting there, which has Trump as a wrestler at that time on it. So just very iconic just to get a chance to see that. And that was 2008, I think it was, in Detroit. So I've always loved it. I've enjoyed it. I just, don't get a chance to watch it nearly as much as I used to.
Yeah, that was WrestleMania 23, I think you were talking about, at Ford Field. And there was 83,000.
83. There you go.
Crazy.
Yep.
And that was also the WrestleMania where Donald Trump shaved Vince McMahon's head in the middle of the ring in the Battle of the Billionaires.
That's it.
So that was a crazy WrestleMania for sure. But thank you for that. And that was our fan questions. And it's been a pleasure to talk to you today. It's been wonderful.
Yeah, thank Curtis, I can't thank you enough for coming on. I know you're a busy guy, and I can't wait to you have this put together. It's going to get out there. People are going to love it. You did a great job. And thanks again for coming on the show. And I hope you stay in touch and get to see you soon.
For sure. Thank you. Always good to see you. Enjoy Florida or Michigan, wherever you end up at TC. It was great playing for you, and thank you so very much for having me.
You bet, pal. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you. And Curtis, one other thing. I mean, before we go here today, can you tell everybody out there if they want to make a donation to any of your foundations or nonprofits, tell them how they could reach you or those foundations?
So the easiest one right now, because we had so many things we talked about, is my nickname, the Grandy Man. So go to grandyman.com. You can check out everything there. We have highlights to take you to CBEA, to take you to the Players Alliance and the Curtis Granderson Foundation. So if you can't remember all the different names, just remember my nickname, search the Grandy Man, and I will pop up and you'll get a chance to see what we got going on.
There you go. Well, thank you very much again.
That's great.
Thank you.